Welcome. This is 5 Question Friday. Sretan Petak. Happy Friday. I'm Sara of Expat in Croatia. This is Carol Ann, who we call Cam. Did I say 5 Question Friday? Did I?
It is 5 Question Friday.
Yeah, I did. So every Friday at 5 o'clock Croatia time, answer 5 questions about Croatia from people who have sent them in on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, expatinCroatia.com, email my consulting sessions, Cam's consulting sessions, and people who write them in the condensation on the glass in the bathroom. So this is a super special episode. I mean, aren't they all special? But this is extra special because Cam is here with me today, and also because we are at Korak winery in, can you say the name of the area?
In Pleševica, just outside of Jastrebarsko, which if you've been following, you know that I'm from this area.
Yes. So we drove up, oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No.
So I just want to set some context. So we drove up these hills, and I put a little video on stories of us kind of driving through the hills. I highly suggest you look at that because it's just so stunningly gorgeous. But now I'm going to take you off of the tripod and show you what we're looking at because it just doesn't look real. So let's just go. I'll be gentle, I promise. Okay, hang on. Let me just unclick you. Okay. Yeah.
Doesn't get old.
It does not get old. It really looks like that. It really, really does. This is not a set. So, we suggest you come here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's happening here, and then I will tell you a little bit about our the week that we just had. So, we went and had lunch at this hotel I'm staying at in Jastrebarsko called Hotel Princess, and the lunch was extraordinary. Like,
So good.
yeah, it was both of our first times. Really blown away by the food. I posted a picture of my deer risotto that I had on stories. Oh, and we had dessert. It was super good. But then we came up here to do a wine tasting, and then they started giving us more food. So, like, I'm expecting in 3 months. Food babies are the best kinds of babies. So we had this amazing sourdough, and they gave us this butter that was like aged.
Yes.
Aged butter.
And made in, the outside was honey. Like,
Oh yeah, it has
remember?
a honey crust
Yeah,
of some kind.
so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of butter, especially good butter. And like little, you know,
Suho meso, so špek and
That.
kobasa, different types of seed. There was marmelade, like jam from apricots. Is it in
apricots.
English?
Yeah, so maralica, right?
Marelica.
Maralica.
And what is the other thing called? Dolce.
Well, okay, look. They called it dulce de leche, and I was like, are you for reals? Are we going to have dulce de leche at the top of a hill in Croatia? Amazing! Because dulce de leche is something I grew up with in Texas, and it is sweetened condensed milk that has been cooked down really, really far and caramelized. And so you can put it on everything, but it's very commonly used in cakes. So that I got very excited about that. But then I tasted it, and it was not dulce de leche. It was hazelnut butter, which are not remotely the same things.
I wouldn't know.
I mean, it is a similar color, but it's not the same thing. But it was still very, very tasty, and I smeared it on my cheese, and I really dug it. I really dug it. So we have had 4 or 5 white wines so far. See, that's because it's right here for her.
Yeah.
It's right here for her.
And I'm red. I don't know if you can see the redness.
Yes. So far I'm not, but if we move to reds, will become the same color. It's my Irish skin, because just as a reminder, I'm not Croatian. Like at all. Okay, guys, so let me tell you a bit about this week. I feel like a lot is happening in a very short period of time. So on Sunday, I was in Sisak, and then I drove to Zagreb that night, And what has happened? Oh, I met with a woman from the National Tourist Board. That was incredible. She was so kind. She brought me all this swag, this Croatia full of life swag. I love her. She's great. And then Wednesday, I think, Maria and I went to this breakfast with this business breakfast, which you have to get invited to come to. And we had met these three gentlemen at the G2 conference in Sisak last week, and they invited us to come and make a presentation about expat in Croatia. But it's kind of an exclusive group of professionals, and it's a worldwide organization. And then they have a chapter here I'm Croatia, but Zagreb.
Wait, isn't Zagreb? No, I'm not going to go there. With the spličanka here, the native split liver.
Say whatever you gotta say. I've heard it before.
I'm teasing.
I heard it before. Anyways, yeah, so that was super cool. So you have to be invited twice, and then you move into a candidate stage, and then they have to vote on you in this whole thing. So I think we made it past that first hurdle, so we'll see. But they're all vetted professionals, and yeah, so that's pretty neat. I posted a picture of all the business cards I've gotten this week. I mean, there must be like 40 of them, so I'm probably going to spend 2 days on LinkedIn connecting with everybody. But we've met so many amazing people in the last couple of weeks, so I'm really, really excited about the future. Wednesday night, I went to a gala for the 25th anniversary of the American Chamber of Commerce in Croatia. That was a big, super, mega fancy event. So my business partner and I, we put on our best and went down there, and it was us two spličanke and a sea of purgery.
Who's saying what now? Hold on there. Jeez.
Okay. Anyways, no, that was great. I got to see some people I know in Zagreb at that event. We did still feel like a little bit of fish out of water, but the Zagreb Philharmonic played, and that was really beautiful. But it was kind of hilarious because the conductor just like abruptly got off. Like they finished the second to last song, which is Pirates of the Caribbean, and then he just walked off stage with no explanation, and all the players were like, what's going on here? And he never came back. The MC came out and was like, oh, let's give one more clap for the players. But there was still one more song, and that never happened. So yeah. We ended up leaving and not eating the food. I've been to a lot of conferences in the last couple of years, and the food is always terrible. With the exception of G2 last week, it was extraordinary. But usually the food is pretty bad at these things, and they all have the same smell. I just can't do it anymore. So instead we went to Submarine Burger in Rudesh. And I have to give a shout out to Krešimir, who saw me at Subway or a Submarine in Rudesh and said hi. So hi, Kashmir. It was really nice to meet you. And that brings us to today, because I don't remember anything else that happened.
No, I think you covered everything.
I don't know. I have a feeling there's some things I've forgotten, but you know what? It's all right. So we're going to go ahead and dig into the questions now, guys. Shout out?
Shout out.
So Cam has to do a shout out. I'm going to hand it over.
Yeah, it's so cool because my boys and I watch 5 Questions Friday. Sometimes we don't catch it live, especially when they're in afternoon school, but they love watching it. And my youngest said to me, "Good luck, Mama. Remember, it's live, so don't mess up." I was like, "Thanks." And he's like, "Can you give me a shout out?" And I was like, "But I don't know if I can, but I talked to the boss lady over here, and she said I totally can." So my boys, this is your shout out. And then I also want to give a shout out to Korak Winery for hosting us today, and to Vera for serving us and explaining everything that we drank and ate. It was such a lovely experience, and you guys saw the beautiful view that we got to stare at all afternoon. I mean, hello. So I guess that's my intro, and we should dig into today's questions.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Second phone. Here we go.
Here we go. It's my first 5 Question Friday!
I'm so glad you're excited.
I'm very excited.
Because usually whenever I ask someone on the team to join, they're like, do do I have to? I'm like, no, you don't. We're all about consent here. So you don't have to, but everyone ends up doing it anyway. So, but you know, everybody out there, they love you guys. They would like to see you, not just me, right?
I think we all love you too.
Ah, shucks.
Oh, shucks.
Okay, so we're going to do things a little bit differently today. We do have 5 questions. And we've got 3 questions from the audience. Those questions, Cam's going to answer. And then we've got 2 questions that Cam wants to ask me. So let's do it.
Yeah.
This comes from Karen here on Instagram.
Hey,
Hi,
Karen.
Should I bring a gift to the consulate for my citizenship appointment?
Ooh. Oh, what a great question, Karen. Gifts are kind of a big deal in Croatia, so I'm not surprised that you're asking this. But when it comes to the consulate, MUP, the police station, anything where you have kind of an official appointment, I would say no to that. And what I would add to that is only bring what has been asked of you, not a piece of paper more or a piece of paper less. So bring what you're required to bring. Now, let's say, for example, if you've been following some of my postings on stories, I love Nada at my local HZO, and I've seen her like 4 or 5 times now, and I'm kind of inclined to bring her a little something around Christmas time, but like on a not business, you know, not to come there to do business, but just to stop by because we've sort of formed, she knows it's the Canadian when I walk in because I'm always asking her to do something that she doesn't usually do. So I think she has this like love-hate thing with me. But yeah, so I think after a relationship is formed, sure, if it feels right, but not when it's on official business, especially when you're working towards citizenship or residency or whatever it might be. I think it's important to leave it all business. I do have like a little added tidbit about gifts because I grew up in a Croatian household in a big Croatian community in Canada, and like bringing something to somebody's house was a thing. Like you don't go to someone's house for dinner without bringing flowers or a centerpiece or dessert. And I always thought it was, I don't know, like unnecessary. I was like, Mama, like why? Like we gotta go to like 5 streets over to the flower shop that's open on Sundays to get like an orchid. And does she even like orchids? But it doesn't matter. You come and you bring a gift. And I think over the time that I've been here in Croatia, I've found a sweetness to it, this kindness. And it's not about bringing a huge gift. It's like, okay, I'm coming over to your place, we're gonna just chat. Like, bring a box of Napolitanke or a box of domaćice, or like, you know, just something little, or kikis for the kids. And it's just, I don't know, it's really, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking
thoughtful.
for.
It's thoughtful.
Yeah, it's thoughtful. And it's like, not only did we make time to hang out because the social interaction is so important, but it's like, I actually planned and I brought something for you and thought about you or thought about your children, you know, and I kind of like it now. And it's so funny because like I'm in my 40s. So like for the better part of 40 years, I've been like about it, but I'm embracing this old tradition now, and I kind of like it.
In fact,
oh God,
because I was coming to your part of Croatia and you're hosting me, I actually brought you something.
Oh my God, no, what?
Napolitanka.
Oh my God, did you know that I was going to talk about that?
No, but I didn't actually, because I picked this question after I bought this.
I love it. Ooh, they're chocolate.
Oh, yeah, the chocolate covered ones.
They're like chocolatey ones. I love chocolate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
well, I
really
I had Napolitanka at your house with your mom last week.
The home baked goods that we put on the table when someone comes over.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh baked in Korak.
Well, when I was a kid growing up in Texas, we had Napolitanka, but they weren't called Napolitanka. They were called wafers. Cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the vanilla and the chocolate and the strawberry. Yeah. And look, they were delicious to me when I was a kid. And so now coming here and there being Napolitanka everywhere, I'm like, really? That's crazy to me. But I love them. And they actually do sell Croatian Napolitanka in the States. I'm certain that that's not what I was eating when I was in Texas. But I have friends in California who have sent me pictures of it. Now, I don't think they have the chocolate-covered ones, which I mean, if you're going to eat Napolitanka, why wouldn't it be the chocolate covered ones? Honestly,
People are very loyal to the original nougat flavor. Nugent. No, that Ted Nugent is a musician. Nugget. I don't know. Nougat.
Nougat. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of them. I would like to add some things about giving gifts. I messed up. We were supposed to answer this last, but now we're answering it first. I didn't scroll properly. Yeah. Anyways, about giving gifts to authorities. I absolutely agree with Cam. Like, when you're doing business, especially like on the first interaction, don't, because they're going to see it as suspicious.
Totally sus.
For sure.
That's slang. I learned it from my young people.
What?
Sus
Instead
of suspicious.
Oh. That seems like an unnecessary shortening of a word.
It's 100% unnecessary. Yep. Go ahead. Okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Disturbed by that a little bit. No, but there are times when it would be appropriate to bring maybe a little something to an official, but it cannot be on the first interaction, and it cannot be related to residence or citizenship. It's really like, I need a building permit and you've been making me wait for months, and it's the way that you handle it is you go in and you are very kind and you're like, oh, look, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know that you are very, very busy, and I really don't want to take up much of your time. I'm trying to work on this, and I've run into some roadblocks, and I need this to happen because of XYZ reason, and this is the impact that it's having on me. Would it be possible to have this happen? And then after they give you what you need, then as you're going out, oh, I just picked up a little something for you. Yeah. It's a little brick of coffee or some chocolates or whatever. And you just do it casually before you leave. But when you are in like serious process for like non-citizenship, non-resident stuff, because whenever there is like a whiff of any kind of immigration thing, that's not really the time to do that. And never money. Never, ever. We're not going to talk about that. But don't ever do that. And I'd say also, when bringing gifts, like when you're meeting people for the first time, you also want to bring a gift. I mean, it depends on the context. So like, for example, what's a good example?
Well, you were coming to my house for the first time.
Yeah, and
but that wasn't meeting. I
didn't bring you anything.
You brought it now.
Yeah, I did bring it now. I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, I guess, okay, this tourist board. Actually, I felt quite bad because I met the CSAC tourist board director and then also this woman from the National Tourist Board, and normally I would bring something because I do. In those cases, I have a bag of like expat swag, but we are out of our run, so I have to do a new printing, so it's going to have to be on the second meeting that I'm going to bring them that expat swag. So, but the woman from the National Tourist Board, she brought me stuff. She brought me an umbrella and a shirt with the heart on it. Huh?
You got an umbrella?
I got an umbrella. Like, so many umbrellas. Yeah, and like a bag of lavender and a lanyard because of the checks on it.
Amazing.
So yeah, gifts are super important in Croatia, and it doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to be useful. Croatians love useful stuff. I mean, who doesn't love useful stuff? I don't need any more tchotchkes. I need stuff I can actually use or eat. Or drink.
Yes.
Drink is best. Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I think it's time to.
I have a
scroll
question.
Back up to the top.
Scroll back to the top.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, it's my turn. Gosh, always running the show.
I know.
Okay, I have a question for you now.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, like I'd have to go through all the 5 questions Friday. Like I was worried that I would ask a question that was already asked, and I didn't want it to be like too obvious of a question. I mean, we all know that you know so much about Croatian bureaucracy. You are a plethora, if I may say, of information. But I want to know how that bureaucracy and how living here has changed you, like on a cellular level.
A cellular level. Just bureaucracy or living Croatia in general?
I think living, I don't think you can live in Croatia exclusive of the bureaucracy.
Oh, you're right about that. It's interwoven.
It is in everything. But yeah, just I think in general, and obviously people change over a decade, but You know, how has Croatia shaped Sarah Dyson of 2023? Not a loaded question at all. And
I know.
Perfect after 4 wine tastings.
I mean, how much time you got? Yeah, Croatia's changed me in a lot of ways. One, I'm way more patient. Infinitely more patient. If you are impatient, Croatia is not the country for you.
Yeah.
I really, I do not get as anxious as I used to, especially when it comes to being on time. I take the time I need to, I do my best to arrive, 5 minutes early to stuff. It used to be 30, because in the States, if you're not 30 minutes early for something, you're late. And that is a very intense environment to be in. I mean, the subway could like completely fall apart, or someone could jump in front of the train, and it doesn't matter. You'll get to work and they'll be like, you should have planned for that. So that would really stress me out, because especially in Dalmatia, like I'd show up 30 minutes early, they'd show up 30 minutes late, and I'd be standing around like a jerk for an hour. So now I'm comfortable being late like 5-10 minutes, because sometimes that's just the way it goes, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's only you that cares. So that I really let go of that part. I would say I've become way more generous. Way more generous. I can't say that I was stingy to some extent, but honestly, now having been outside of America for this long, we're stingy. Stingy. And here, it's like, you pay for dinner, then I pay for dinner. You pay for coffee, then I pay for coffee. Or maybe I pay for coffee a couple of times, and then eventually you pay for a coffee. But there's no like ledger.
I paid last time, you pay now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's no ledger, and you just know that it always comes back to you. I mean, this is not a wealthy country, and yet Croatians will pay for your meal or your coffee without even thinking about it, like, because they don't want to. It's crass to have that conversation of like, okay, you had this and I had this, but we both had the mineral water, so let me calculate. Like, no, that's completely inappropriate to do here. So you just kind of figure it out, and it's okay. And I'd say that like that, there was a time where maybe that stressed me out early in the day, when I was really trying to figure out how I was going to like fund my life here. But really it doesn't matter. My income has gone up, has gone down since I lived in Croatia, but that is something that's been pretty consistent, because it's never put me in a situation, it just always comes back to you, and it's about building relationships. Croatia is completely about relationships. And I didn't have that mindset when I first came here. And I mean, even having long coffees, like was an adjustment, especially with business. Cause I was like, well, no, let's just do this over email in 20 minutes. Like, why do I got to get dressed and like come and meet you? It didn't make sense to me. But now I understand it, because you need to sit there in front of somebody, look them in the eye, learn who they are, see what their coffee order is. I mean, these are things that are really important. So I definitely value relationships a lot more. Oh gosh, what else?
Driving. Talk to me about your driving habits. People have said that I've gotten a little more assertive since I've gotten here.
You have to be assertive here. You have to. Sometimes you just got to muscle in, because otherwise you never get anywhere. I mean, I wouldn't say my driving habits have changed really drastically, because I love driving and that hasn't really changed. But I would say that the part of my driving that has changed is I learned how to parallel park. You don't have to parallel park in Texas or California.
Really?
Like, I didn't have a car in New York, so that wasn't applicable. No, we have big ass parking lots. It's really easy to park a semi in there, But here, you really need to know how to park in some pretty tight spaces. So that's something that I only really started to get good at this year, because I bought a car last year, so now I have a whole lot more time to practice, and it's very exciting for me. Like, even now, I'm like, whenever I do it perfectly, I'm just like, yes, good job, Sarah.
You did that when we were at the Sheraton for
ACAP?
For ACAP. Remember, we were driving and you were like, okay, Cam, I don't know if this is going to go well. And you did it in one shot. I was like, ooh, you're so good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
love
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I can do it right now. I think my success rate's about probably 95%. It's not very often, like but I do have to be like calm. Whereas I think I went to visit Texas like in 2020 maybe. And at that time I had a rental car, and I was with my buddy Rob, and we were in downtown Austin, and I was like, here are the keys. I'm just going to go stand over there. You take care of it. Like that's how much I was not interested in doing that entire thing. What else? I think generally speaking, I'm calmer. I'm a lot calmer. And I think that comes with patience and just dialing back my anxiety in general, because I've had so much anxiety my whole life, like social anxiety, which impacts every part of my being, but also just anxiety about like just functioning in general. And I don't quite have that nearly as much as I used to. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that have changed me, but those are the things that come to mind right now.
That's really interesting that those are the things, because especially the timeline, the patience, the stopping to smell the roses of everything.
Oh, I do stop and smell the roses, actually.
That's been the biggest thing that I've noticed, and my biggest challenge. I do it, but like I'm still like, oh, I could be like typing on my computer right now, and then I have to remind myself, like, no, actually, this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. This is what's happening. And that's the reason I came here. I have to remind myself that, so that I don't like I don't know, like rev up like a tornado, because the only way to function in North America is to be that tornado.
Yeah.
And it's like, here, you just gotta slow down. And so I think it's gonna be a learning process for me too. So everything that you said, I see myself working on those things now. Pomalo.
I think one of the things that has actually changed for me recently, just in the last few months, is because I still have that kind of American workaholic, unchecked ambition thing going on. And I haven't been able to really unscrew that. And I think for a long time I was having some shame about it, because a lot of my Croatian friends would be like, Sarah, why are you working so much? You're a Dalmatinska now, like Polako, you need to become fully Dalmatian and not work so much. And so I thought that maybe there was something wrong with that. But now I've come to terms with like, well, this is who I am, and I like working, so I'm not going to feel shame about it. So there was that. But then what I did do is I stopped making myself feel shitty if I didn't accomplish all my tasks for the day. Like, I get as much done as I can, and sometimes things don't happen because that's just the nature of being pulled in 1,000 different directions. And if it doesn't, then nema veze, like I'll do it another day and it's okay. Whereas before I would just eat myself alive. There have been many nights, like probably 2020, 2021, Adia knows this, I would work all night long. I have these vivid memories of being in my office and split like at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, like responding to emails, because the volume of work was so high and I just couldn't go to sleep without knowing that I had made it through, because I'd wake up and I'd have 100 emails and it was just me at that time. Madia was doing the content, I was doing all of the other communications, email and social media and everything. So now, my guess is part of the reason I've been able to unclench is because I've got amazing people that I work with and I don't have to do everything myself. So it's probably part of that. But I've just, in general, I've unclenched.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
Very cool. We really got the two interpersonal questions out now at the beginning.
Yeah, we have.
We're going all business for the rest of the. Oh no, I still have a question for you that's not businessy. That's
more
you-y.
For sure. We have one comment. Emily in Paris explains the same thing. She works hard because she enjoys her job. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I found that show interesting because I do feel like there are a lot of parallels, because essentially it's a foreigner living in a foreign country. Some of the things I think are a little exaggerated, but for the most part, it's very parallel to living in Croatia in the terms of trying to break into a culture that is really different from your own.
Can we address I don't know if you can hear it through the phone, the sounds in the background?
Yeah, so there's some booming noises that are happening every so often. Cam, since you are from this area, would you like to explain to the people at home
Sure.
what that is?
Anyone can correct me because I'm totally guessing here, but I overheard some people talking in my village, and I believe it is wild boar season. I was telling Sarah that up until now, I would hear like in the early morning, those booming shots. I haven't heard them during the day, but I also haven't been up in the hills during the day to be able to experience it. So it could be at the beginning. I was like, oh, it's Friday. It's probably a wedding. But like we've been here since 2:30, 2:45, and it's been nonstop. So if you can hear that's what that is. There's no mining happening behind us.
No, it's just animal murder.
Yeah. Says the girl who ate the deer risotto for lunch.
Yeah, but I didn't murder the deer. It's not remotely the same thing.
No, not at all.
Terry's here, and she says we don't hear them. And
Okay.
I did see Lucia joined as well. So hi, Terry. Hi,
Hey.
Lucia. Okay.
All right.
All right. So now I have a question, or Tanya has a question.
Hey, Tanya.
She submitted this through our 5-question Friday form. She said, with the digital nomad temporary residence permit, what happens if you apply for that using your current job, but after getting the permit, say 3 or 4 months in, you lose that job? Is there an ongoing proof of employment needed or some other process in place once you get the permit? Like, how would anyone in Croatia know that I'm no longer employed unless I told them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, the short answer is, well, they wouldn't. But let's back that up for a second. So for those of you who don't know about the digital nomad permit, you do have to show proof of employment for a company that's outside of Croatia and proof of funds. So those two things are a part of your application. There are no checks and balances that happen throughout that year. So technically, if you don't tell them, they don't know. But also technically, you are no longer meeting the criteria for being allowed to be here under that residency permit. So it's a risk. How big of a risk is it? I guess for you to decide. I guess in theory, you could find another job and be employed by another company, again, outside of Croatia for that particular permit for the remainder of the time. And maybe there's that small section of time where you're not employed. But it reminds me of, there's also another permit, family reunification for spouses of Croatians that are kind of the same thing. We had an instance where a couple was married. She was married to a Croatian. She got her residence permit based on family reunification, but then they got divorced. Well, that permit is based on that marriage. And so I guess that one would be a more obvious one and really hard for nobody to find out about.
Yeah, that one's definitely going to be harder to hide. I think one other example of this is like, let's say you're on a work permit, like Korak winery. They hire you to be harvest stuff.
Grapes, yeah. Clean the bins after you've harvested.
Whatever, yeah. And so you get a work permit based on that contract. Well, then you decide that you don't want to work for a Korak anymore. You want to go work for Krolo or whatever, Tomaz, because you just like Istria better.
Wait a second.
Uh-oh, I think we're going to start throwing bows. So in which case your contract ends. They're obligated to tell the police, and then your work permit's going to end because your basis for the work permit no longer exists. So I think with the digital nomad one, like she said, like they're not going to come checking you, but you just have to understand that nevertheless, you're not meeting their requirements. It is a risk. So if they cancel your residence permit because they find out somehow, whoever knows how, they do have the right to cancel your permit. So you just have to make that decision for yourself, what your risk is. Okay, Katie. Hey, Katie.
Hey.
You know Katie.
Yeah, I know Katie.
Can family reunification apply to same-sex couples? Yes, it can. So Croatia, they recognize same-sex marriages from outside of Croatia, and then they also have life partnerships. It'll also work with common law, I believe, if you're not married, as long as you've been together for at least 3 years. So yes, that is a possibility. We do have a guide on that. On family reunification, we also have a guide on same-sex partnerships. So Katie, if you would like those, just send us over a DM and Cam will get that over to you.
Yeah. Also a guide on the digital nomad permit. We've got an awesome FAQ about digital nomad as well, and family reunification. I think those are all the things we mentioned.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So just DM us if you would like any of those things. Oh yeah, it's your turn now.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Yay.
Okay, let's get a little nitty gritty with this one. Sarah Dyson, we want to know, what is your biggest pet peeve of Croatia?
Oh gosh.
What do you love? Okay, no. Let's. I'm gonna broaden this. What do you love and what do you not love? I don't even know if this was the original question that I had thought of, but we're kind of there. We were talking a little bit about Senf earlier. I think that's what prompted this. And the constant mayonnaise on burgers instead of mustard. Would you say that's a pet peeve?
What is a pet peeve? Is that the burger places in Croatia do not have mustard as an option. That infuriates me. Because, look, burgers are American things, so if you're gonna make an American product, do it in American style. Like, you don't have to put mustard on all the burgers, but at least have it as an option. I don't understand why I get this look of confusion when I'm like, imetali senf? And they're like, nema. Like, why would we have that? It's like, because that is what is supposed to be on a burger. Like, you don't have to agree, but at least have it there. Have it there. I will give you an example. Okay. Sorry, this has been an issue of mine for a very long time. Thank
you. Nerve. I have hit a nerve.
Thank you for giving me a soapbox to talk about mustard. Okay. In Split, they have a sandwich chain called Rizzo. It's kind of like our Subway. Many years ago, I went to the one by Joker. Actually, they have 3 locations, and this has been a problem at all of them. So I want mustard on my sandwich, and they don't have mustard. What they do have, so they have mustard in their kitchen because they put it in their
the meat.
Yeah, in the tuna.
Oh,
they put mustard in the tuna, which if no one has ever tried that, it's amazing. Okay. Not the Rizzo kind. I just mean putting mustard in tuna fish in general. That's a separate conversation. Anyways, so they have it there. And I'm like, okay, well, can I have mustard on my sandwich? No. But you have it there. Like, I can see the bucket through that door that says Senf on it. Like, I know you have it. You just said you had it. But you won't give it to me. But then there was a guy at the Joker one, and I think he had a little bit of a crush on me. And he would give me mustard on my sandwich. Because he was like, yeah, I mean, we don't usually allow people to do this. Why?
I don't know.
Why? So anyways, I cannot stand mayonnaise. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I don't want it in my house. I don't want to sit at a table while someone else is eating it. I can't even look at someone who's eating it. It grosses me out to know. So if I'm ordering like delivery, if there's something that has mayonnaise on it, I won't order it, because it's like, even if I ask them not to put it on there, there's such a huge risk. I mean, I just can't. So it's on everything, and that drives me crazy. That is not remotely Croatia related. I mean, other than the fact that like there's not enough mustard in this country.
But they do put mayo on the burgers that we've come across anyways, because my husband really likes burgers, but like he gets it and it's like slathered with a mayo or like a secret sauce that's like orange mayo. Like, you know, and the meat is so like soggy from the mayo or the magic sauce, whatever they want to call it. And so like, first, you can't eat it with your hands. You got to eat it with a fork and knife, which already is like, But it's just they're so soggy. So
I mean, this is causing me pain right now. Because I'm thinking about it. I can see it in my head, and it's just like gross. Okay, when I had my birthday party in July, I was like, if I don't have mayonnaise there for burgers, people are going to flip out. And I had to buy it, and I was like, ugh. I didn't want to look at it. I like hid it under a napkin. Like I didn't.
Wow.
It just gives me the shivers.
Guys, I hit it with that question. I got it. That was good. What is that? Would you say that was your biggest like rant ever on 5 Questions Friday? Did I like?
No. I've been on many rants, but that's the most non-Croatia related rant I think I might have been on.
All right.
Terry agrees.
With the semp or with the rant?
I don't know. She just said fact.
Fact.
So
I'm gonna say fact about all, Terry. Oh man.
Did I answer your question?
Did you ever?
Okay, great. All right, excellent.
Oh my gosh, we have the sun setting here, and it's absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, it is.
Other than the fact that we're probably doing a little bit of extra squinting, so we apologize. But I get one more question. This is so fun. Does it have to only be 5? Can it be 15 questions Friday, or like, can we do this forever?
Girl, I want to go
Friday?
back and sit down and drink my wine and watch the sunset. I love this with you, but 5 has a much better alliteration.
And in Croatian, pet pitanja petak, when you did it with your Croatian teacher.
Petkom.
Petkom. Pet pitanja petkom.
Pet pitanja petkom.
Yes, I too struggle with Croatian grammar.
Yes.
Oh,
but your Croatian is way better than mine.
Well, we spoke it for a long time.
Yeah, you had a much bigger head start.
I did.
What's
my last question?
I totally went out of order.
You did. That's okay.
Okay, this is from Jen.
Hey, Jen.
She sent this in on the 5 Question Friday form.
I like that forum.
See, Terry says too much mayonnaise! Exclamation
point.
Yeah.
Thanks, Terry. You always get my back and her back. You're the best.
Yeah, she is. Okay. Is there an expiration date of an official copy of a Croatian birth record when submitting it with all the documents during application for citizenship by descent?
Yeah, there's an expiration date on all government documents, whether they're Croatian, whether they're Canadian, whether they're wherever they're from. There is a 6-month expiration date, so you need to get a new document issued. And a lot of people are really confused, thinking that 6 month, because some people are aware of the 6 month, and that it's tied to the date that it's apostilled or legalized. And if you don't know what those two things mean, we have a guide for that. But it's essentially a government doubling down on the legitimacy of a document. But it's not. So, if you got a birth certificate issued 8 months ago and you got the legalization done 3 months ago, you're out of luck.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Because this was something that kind of predates you joining Expat in Croatia. So there was a time when it was 6 months from the date of apostille and legalization, but then they changed that last year, I think it was. And so now it's definitely from the date of issue.
It's causing confusion. Well, this is where the questions are coming from and the misunderstandings. I also want to add to the Canadian folks out there that up until now, we as Canadians have had to get our documents legalized, which is like twice the work. So much fun. But as of January, there was a date Danny posted. I don't know the exact date.
January
I'm horrible.
24th.
Thank you. January 24.
Photographic memory.
I know. As of January 24th, Canada is going to be a part of that treaty, which means we don't have to go through this 2-stepped, really, dare I say as a polite Canadian, annoying process. So this has been really good news. But yeah, so keep that in mind. It's 6 months from the date of issue. And when we're having consults, lots of consults, especially for citizenship by descent, in the States and in Canada, particularly, actually in many other embassies and consulates, there's a long wait for your appointment. And so some people start at the beginning. They get these documents and then they get them and they call and they find out that they don't have an appointment.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah.
For another year.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of time spent. That's a lot of money spent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? And it's really stressful. So we always encourage everybody, start from the phone call to your Croatian embassy or consulate.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's absolutely true. That should be your
Constant.
first thing.
Yeah, that's where you start. And you find out, okay, when are you guys booking appointments for? August 2024. Okay, book me in. Now I have from October 6th to August, whatever date I just said, because I have the memory of a goldfish. And I'm live, guys. I'm doing this live. Unforgiving, as my son pointed out to me. And you work backwards from August. And so, prepare everything else. Work on your CV biography. Work on other things, and then save that paperwork for that timeline so that you're within that 6 months, and you're going to save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of dollars. I think do you want to add anything to?
Yeah, I just want to really just emphasize that when you are applying for citizenship in particular, you have to deal with so many government. Look, if you were in the UK, then you're dealing with one government. If you're UK and Croatia, but if you're in the States, for example, you're dealing with your state government. You're also dealing with the federal government, and then you're dealing with Croatia. So it's 3. So the more governments you're dealing with, it means the more timelines that you have to juggle.
Yes.
And the consulate or embassy appointment is the first thing, and then you build your timeline out around that. So for example, getting the FBI background check in the United States only takes 3 to 5 days from the time they get your fingerprints, but the apostille on it takes 3 months. So it's good to list all your documents out and then put the timelines of processing next to it, and then kind of map it back, almost like make a Gantt chart.
Same thing for Canadians. We've got the provinces. So you're dealing, let's say I was dealing with Service Ontario and then Global Affairs Canada when I was here in Croatia. So depending on where you are, you might be juggling a lot of different things. I love though, with the Department of State, they always keep the length of time, like what their working timeline is.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's so helpful because it helps people really plan. We know that the fingerprints happen fast, but the variable that takes longer is,
they're really good about that.
They're amazing, and I think it relieves a lot of stress for people, because you're waiting for these documents. Nobody's sending you updates. Nobody cares. They're not, and you're just,
they're not in the customer service business.
No,
but it's like seeing that processing time vary from 8 weeks to 18 weeks. So it's important to kind of check their website. But the fact that they even update it in the first place is really
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Those are the questions.
That's it. I want to keep going.
I know. I feel the same way. Every single time I do this, I'm like, is that really it?
Goodbye. I don't want to say goodbye. We should drink. We should take you drinking with us. Just put the camera and have the view.
My phone might die before that happens.
Yeah.
My phone is perpetually full of, it never has any space on it, and it's almost dead all the time. Thank you so much for being here, guys. So what's going to happen next? So tomorrow I get to go home.
Yay, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm very happy about it too. I have been traveling for 3.5 weeks, and I don't remember what my house looks like. I love it. I feel so grateful, and that I have the privilege to travel around Croatia, see all these different areas, meet all these different people, eat all these different foods, see and do all these different things. It's really a huge privilege. It really, really is. And I love doing this job, and it's just fantastic. I could not be happier about it. That being said, I am flesh and bone, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I miss my bed so much. So I'm really excited to go home to Split, and I thought that I was not going to be in the sea again, and I thought that when I was on Losheen a few weeks ago that was going to be my last beach time. I vividly remember walking away from the sea at sunset and almost having a tear in my eye, like, I'm not going to see you again until next June. Because I knew I was going to be traveling all September, which September is like the best month to go to the beach in Croatia, because most of the tourists have left, or at least the bulk of them have left, and it's still warm, but it's not like oppressive, and so you can really be on a sparsely populated beach, and it's just really, really nice. And I was traveling that whole month, so So what I've heard is that it's actually about 26 in Split right now. So I have beach plans on Sunday. I get to go to my usual beach, which is Brzet near Omiš. I love that beach. It is perfect in 1,000 different ways. So I always evaluate beaches, and that is the one that checks all of the boxes. So I will be there. If you're in Omiš, you may see me there in a green bathing suit. So I'm pretty excited about that, and Cam's been a fantastic host. So now we are going to go back over to the winery, and I think we're going to do reds now.
Yeah, I think we're on the reds.
Yeah, we've done the whites. Now we're going to do some reds, and maybe there's going to be more snacks.
I wouldn't mind.
Not that I have room for it. Dama83 says, I'm in Split. Oh, Xi'an. That was my first neighborhood in Split. I used to live on Xi'an. 2 different apartments. And the sea is gorgeous. Oh, you have another week to swim. Yes.
Lovely. I'm so jealous.
Yes. Well, you live inland.
I do. In Hinterland.
In the hinterland.
Hinterlands. I want to say thank you for inviting me to do 5 Questions Friday. I'm so excited.
You're welcome. Thanks for doing it.
I hope you guys have enjoyed having me here and that I haven't cramped Sarah's style too much. This is as thrilling as having consults with you. Like, there's a little bit of like more adrenaline with this because it's like live in front of lots of people. But yeah, it's just as thrilling as the consult. I love it. I hope I'll be able to do more.
Yeah, Cam's been an official consultant since the beginning of September, and she's super jazzed about it. She really, really loves it, and I'm so glad that she loves it because you have to love it.
Yeah.
You really, really have to love it. I mean, I've done more than 800 of these things, and I couldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. I love meeting everybody and hearing their stories, and it did make me a little bit sad, like when I had to hand over the reins because I won't be able to meet with as many people anymore. And in fact, when Terry came on, Terry can vouch for me on this, like I had so much guilt and shame for a long time, for like months and months actually, because she started taking over the emails, and I just felt so bad about it because it had been me for Terry, you came on in I think March 2021. Yeah. So it had been me for 8 years. And I was the only one who was replying to emails or the social media messages or anything. So I felt like I was betraying you by not replying to emails anymore. It took me a long time to get over that. And that was around the time that I started doing 5 Question Friday. And I was like, okay, well, this is a way that I can still connect with everybody since I'm not replying to emails anymore. But, you know, it was just so unrealistic. Like, I can't. Like, you know, there are thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, the volume of people that we hear from is astronomical. It's impossible for one person to do it. So, like, now, let's see, Terry actually has graduated from replying to most emails, because now we have you and we have Steve and we have Lorena, who are all having direct communication with all of you. And I remember I was talking to actually everyone who's had communication with you. They've all said, like, because we're pretty flexible in our job descriptions and people evolve over time in their roles, and they've all said to me, it's like, Sarah, I just want to make sure I still get to talk to people.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is the best part. That's why we're here, is because of you out there supporting us and cheering us on and enjoying the content. And you know, it has been really tough for me to kind of like pull myself out, but I just can't. And now with the sessions, like I still do them. We increased the rate quite a bit to kind of like reduce the amount that I do, but I just can't do that. I've been doing 15 of these things a week for years.
Yeah.
For years. And I can't run the company anymore at this point. You know, I'm constantly traveling, constantly going to conferences and have meetings to maintain relationships and start new relationships. And there's all these cool projects that we have planned for 2024. And it's just impossible. It's absolutely impossible. But it's a sign of like the things to come. And I feel so grateful for all of you out there, for the whole team at Expat, because I mean, you're all so special and you're all true believers, loving this project the way that I love it. And I just can't wait to bring new stuff to you. I've been chomping at the bit for months, because we've been planning this transition with Cam for a long time. But we take this stuff very seriously. We have a very high standard, high bar for the quality that we put out. So it's been, 6-7 months since Cam came on. She just started doing the consults a month ago, but I mean, we were planning this for like 2 years, and I think it even took us 6 months to go through the hiring process when you joined. I mean, we take these things pretty seriously.
I've never been through a job interview like the one that you orchestrated, but like there was nobody slipping through the cracks on this one.
No.
What a privilege it was actually to even just go through that process. I got to give you and Terry props on that. It was, let's say that rigorous is an understatement, shall we?
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, look, we're doing something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
It's a very unique job, and it takes so much to onboard somebody, and I don't want someone to come on and quit 2 months later, or even a year later. I want whoever who comes on to be like, okay, I'm invested in this. I'm going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
And we do, mentorship and grooming and stuff within the company, because we assume that at some point you're going to leave, but we want to make sure that you're going to go on to something better. It's definitely a stepping stone, but there's got to be some kind of investment. So, these are just the evolutions, and, there's a lot of people out there who, have been with us for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, but some of you are just joining us and you only know this version of Expat in Croatia. So I feel really, really lucky that we found Cam. Because she's a natural. She's an absolute natural. And she just loves talking to everybody and getting so excited. She was telling me this last week, like, I'm digging this so hard. And I'm like, I'm glad, because it would be a problem if you weren't.
Yeah, like I gush about the consults.
Yeah, it would be a really big issue if you did not enjoy them. And if you didn't, we would have to have a discussion. Because we have people who come to us in some really vulnerable moments, so it's actually part therapy session in a lot of ways, depending. Yeah, Terry, when we hire someone, we are confident they are the right person, and we put 100% into them from day one. Yeah, that's 1,000% right.
Yeah. Shall we go drink?
Yeah, I think it's time. Yeah. So thank you for being here, guys, and yeah, see you next Friday from Split. Yay! I get to go home. I'm so excited. Okay, we're going to keep posting some pictures from the wineries on our stories, so stay tuned. And this has been 5 Question Friday. If you're just joining us and you're like, I missed it, I'm going to post a replay into the profile here in a moment. So don't worry, don't despair. And if you want to see your question answered on 5 Question Friday, just send us a DM and you may see it here on a future episode. So bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.